Hello, my name is Zachary Chanoi, and I am an engineering leadership major at the University of Texas at El Paso. In my informative briefing, I will be discussing characteristics of great leaders, and specifically how you can use these characteristics to be a better project manager. I will go over honesty, will and humility, and being a motivator. And lastly, just in case you don't remember the details of those characteristics, I will leave with you a tool that you can always use to be a better leader regardless of the situation. The most imperative characteristic of a great leader is to be honest. Honesty is the backbone of great leadership. The reason for this is without honesty, you create a disconnect between you and your followers. This disconnect creates a culture or an environment of uncertainty, which kills teams. As described in the textbook, Leadership and Project Management, you need to be honest. A leader needs to be honest in order to make ethical decisions. The reason for this is when making decisions, it is imperative that you look at all possible alternatives or solutions. If you're not honest with yourself with the completeness or accuracy of the solutions you have looked at, you will often make the wrong decision, which leads to project failure. I implore you all to think about honesty when I discuss every characteristic of great leadership. It must always be in the back of your mind, because without honesty, everything else falls through the cracks. The second characteristic of being a great leader is will and humility. Now, the reason this one's a 2-in-1 is because it's taken from the book Good to Great. I had to read this book my freshman year of college, and although it's written in the context of being a leader of a big business, the second chapter describes something called Level 5 leadership. What Level 5 leadership is, it's the epitome of leadership hierarchy. You want to be a Level 5 leader. In order to do this, you need to have professional will and personal humility. They are very related. Professional will is making the hard decisions, doing the hard things. An example of this would be when things go wrong when you're a leader, which they most certainly will, I guarantee it. You look towards yourself for the blame instead of distributing it to others. The reason for this is very similar to the discussion on honesty that we just had. If you distribute blame to others, you will form that disconnect that we described. That disconnect kills teams. You must look to yourself when things go wrong, even if it's not necessarily your fault. This is very closely related to personal humility, because what this describes is when things go right. When things go right, instead of taking all the glory for yourself, you must give credit to others. This is essential to keeping the morale up in your team and making sure they continue to work hard for you. Remember, on a team, you're all working towards a common goal. If you ever find yourself with a disconnect between you and your team, you need to establish that common goal. The third characteristic of being a great leader is to motivate, or to be a motivator. Without being able to motivate your followers, you will get nothing done. Specifically, you need to be a motivator and not a manipulator. Far too often I see leaders abuse their position of power to get their followers to do things that only benefit them. Now, how do you be a motivator? Well, there's good examples in the book what every engineer needs to know about project management. And although you don't need to be an engineer to appreciate this book, one thing they do emphasize is to genuinely care about your followers. You can establish a true emotional connection to gain their trust. And how you do this, there's two good ways to do it. The first is active listening. Actually listen about what they have to say about things that aren't just related to your project and goal. You need to genuinely understand who they are as a person. And secondly, give them compliments. Now you need to be careful here, because there are three types of compliments that the book describes. Positive, which is the compliments you want to give. Negative, which obviously you want to avoid. And also blurred compliments, which are the worst. The reason for this is blurred compliments leave your followers feeling unsure about what you meant about what you said. This creates that disconnection, that atmosphere of uncertainty that I described earlier, which kills team dynamics. You need to motivate your followers, not lead them astray. I want to leave you with something that will help you make better leadership decisions, regardless if you remember the details of the characteristics of honesty, will, humility, or how to be a motivator. And this is something that a personal leader in my life left me. And that's the acronym PETS. What PET stands for is push, encourage, and teach. When working with someone, you need to ask yourself, does this person need to be pushed, encouraged, or taught? The person needs to be pushed if you know they can do something, but they're just being hesitant about it. Maybe they're being lazy about it. You need to have the will to make the hard decision, to give them the extra push that they need to get the job done. However, if that person is simply insecure about themselves and they don't think they can get the job done, even though you know they can, that's when you step in and you need to encourage them. This is where that emotional bond we talked about earlier is so important. Encouragement means nothing without that emotional bond. Lastly, you will face situations as a leader where the person you're working with might not know how to do something that you've asked them to do. In this situation, as a leader, you must step in and teach them how to do it, because they'll never get it done until they learn how to do it. In conclusion, today we went over characteristics of great leaders. The backbone of all these was honesty. Without honesty, you have nothing. Secondly, we learned that will and humility are necessary to take blame when blame is deserved, and to give credit to your followers always. Thirdly, we learned ways to be a better motivator, to motivate your followers to get the job done. Because without your followers, there's no reason to be a leader. Thank you, and that concludes my informative briefing.